Hi, for my first resource, I chose the article, The Future of Jobs in the World of AI and Robotics, because I just find the subject very interesting. And the interview that I read was both fascinating and terrifying to me because I think it is actually very accurate in its predictions. And the interview was taking place with, I want to say this correctly, Srikanth Kera, who is a chief human resource officer at an Indian IT services firm called Mphasis. And he basically talks about how he believes automation, AI, robotics would affect the economy and individuals. And he talks about how it's not only going to affect low-income jobs, but also high-income jobs. How jobs that are extremely repetitive in nature will be replaced very quickly by automation. Other jobs he discusses, which is what really interested me, was jobs such as accounting, which, I'm spending a lot of time and money studying right now. But he believes that even professions such as accounting and professions in the medical field would also be replaced by AI and automation, because he talks about industries that are very data driven in recording data, analyzing data, and he believes, I guess, computers can do it just as well as people. So that's a little scary. He does talk about how he calls it adjacencies, where certain roles will just have to be, I guess, take on a new role. So for example, instead of someone in the medical field, doing the diagnosis, they would have to be the ones talking to the patients because a computer can't talk to a patient. Well, we'll see, maybe one day. But that's kind of where I disagree with the article. I don't see how anyone could really trust the diagnosis of a computer without a doctor confirming it. But he says that, based on the databases and all the data out there, computers are capable of doing things like that now. So that's pretty scary. And he also talks about how, how the government and corporations will have to be very compassionate towards certain roles. Like, for example, with the janitor, it would be up to them to decide if they want to automate those kind of roles and stuff. And that's a little scary to think about, that our jobs would be under such control of the government and corporations. It's not something I like to think about. And I also think when he talks about, things like people will have to depend on things like Social Security and government assistance. And that's, already happening, of course. But when you have a society that's already predispositioned, already knows that there's going to be a certain amount of population that will have to depend on the government, it's kind of like you're not giving people a chance. And I don't think that's a society that would work very well. I also think it's a society that might lead to an even worse divide between classes and might possibly eliminate the middle class completely. So that article was very interesting to me. That's why I'm discussing it for so long, but also kind of terrifying, as I said. The next thing that I read was 10 tips on how to get a job, to find a job. And that's something I find just useful for everybody. And, I'm already a working professional, but if I ever looked for a new job, it's something that I could definitely use. So the 10 things they talk about is it's important to look for skills needed rather than a specific job title. So don't just put in accountant because, maybe there's a job out there that you're perfect for, that you have, you don't even realize the title might be a little different and you're missing out on it. They say to enable a feature to look for similar positions. Look for a job that's a good fit instead of just any job. So really think about if you fit well with a company and everything. Keep track of the listings for the jobs so that you can either reference back to it at an interview or just like see what you liked about it. Change your resume and cover letter based on the company you're applying to. And don't just make your cover letter another version of your resume. That there needs to be a deeper story about you there. Prepare for your interview by doing research about the company and the people who will be interviewing you. Be prepared to ask questions at the end of the interview. Show interest, about the company. Send them a thank you note after the interview. Don't accept a job offer right away. Ask them when the deadline to accept or decline is, and really think about it. Think about, if you'll be compensated fairly, if you want to negotiate. And I guess this is it. That was the 10. And I think this is just advice that can really pertain to anybody looking for a job in any industry. And then the third resource I watched was How to Deal with Difficult People, because we all have difficult people from time to time in our life, and especially in the workplace, that can happen a lot. So the one thing that I like that they talk about in the video is stay neutral. Don't react either way. Don't get extremely angry, but don't let them push you around. Don't let them think that they can just continue with this behavior either. So don't create a peaceful ground. That's what she said. And one thing she said was be assertive, not aggressive, which I find very useful advice. So I really liked everything that I read. It's extremely interesting, and I hope that my summaries help. Thank you.